Hello again, Internet. This is my series on Jesus mythicism, and in this particular video, I'll be addressing Apollos' original video lampooning Bill Maher. And so I said in his comments, correcting Bill Maher's poorly researched folk version of mythicism is low-hanging fruit, worth doing to a point, given his cultural influence. But you're already aware of the existence of mythicist historian Richard Carey's work. I'd skip Robert Price as he goes too far with the evidence too often, and it's just too much work to sort fact from exaggeration with him from my perspective. But Carrier is not so sloppy and makes none of the obvious historical mistakes that he pointed out in the video. And he has a longer list of scholars who either support mythicism or are openly agnostic about it and want to see more of a debate. And then there's, of course, the people who are afraid to rock the boat and won't speak up about it. As you are a Christian of some sort, though you admit to exaggeration and legendary embellishment in the Gospels, in all likelihood you still find yourself as the underdog versus numerous academic and scientific consensuses. Yet that note too hard against mythicism with no apparent compunction, like you aren't waging your own uphill intellectual battles against a multiplicity of dominant intellectual cultures. It's hypocritical, even if mythicism is completely wrong. Changing the academic consensus on Abraham and Moses took a lot of underdog battles years ago, but the modern consensus in secular scholarship is that the patriarchs are merely legendary. So changes like that can and do happen. But your case for miracles and the supernatural, whatever that may be, good luck. The best historical evidence for early Christianity is the authentic letters of Paul, a guy who didn't even meet a historical Jesus and instead got his info secondhand and through visions. And somehow he was more successful apparently than Jesus' immediate disciples. If you discount the Joseph Smiths and the Muhammads of the world as relying on unreliable hallucination, the historical foundation of Christianity is of a very similar quality. Paul isn't terribly specific with how exactly the Christians before him got their info or what exactly they believed about Jesus. And you already admit there's legend in the Gospels. I mean, isn't mundane stuff just as easy to invent? It's not at all a slam dunk case for historicity as you imagine. But if you want to go up against a serious case for mythicism, you really have to go after Carrier's work. Plenty of yahoos have appropriate degrees in their field. Young Earth creationists occasionally have real degrees in cosmology and geology. Obviously, that's ultimately the arguments that matter and hopefully are reflected in the consensus positions. Carrier's work could easily be hack work given the trend of nutcase mythicism out there if we're going by merely prior probability. Consensus is a general rule of thumb, and he argues in light of an appropriate procedural challenge to it. Carrier's credentials are sufficient, even if he's wrong about mythicism. I'm not implying that getting a PhD is easy or that we shouldn't generally trust experts or at least give them more credence than a non-expert, but there's a wide range of people with PhDs, and religion especially tends to bring out the bizarre.